All right, guys, I just got back from the Vault Conference with Patrick, Bet, David, and today I'm going to expose to you some behind the scenes information, some things that nobody knows, that nobody has access to. I'm going to give you my point of view if it was worth it. Me and my brother spent $28,000 on our tickets to go CEO to this conference. Why did we go to it? What did we like? What did we didn't like? And what happened in this event that was viewed around the world by millions and millions of people? I'm gonna show it all to you today and all of the behind the scenes action. Let's go! All right, guys, listen, so I'm gonna break down everything that I liked from the Vault. This is my second year going. My brother and I spent $28,000 in tickets to go to this event. And we've done that a couple of years in a row. There's some things I really, really love, some things that changed my life in this event that I'm gonna walk you through, and some things that, didn't like as much, okay? Just to be honest with you. So I'm gonna break all of these things down, and then at the end of this, I'm gonna give you some tactical information that I've learned that you can take into your business, you can take into your life, and that will change your life. So, number one, these guys have built a customer service experience that I just have not seen almost anywhere. Listen, PBD is one of the absolute best in the world, okay? 5 years ago, we went to our first Vault conference, and that conference really gave birth to this idea of the Elliott Group. Andy was sitting there, he was looking at it, it was talking about how to run his conference. He bought a Tony Robbins course, and that $3,000 Tony Robbins course taught him how to open up a coaching company. But then when he sat with PBD at his first event, it really changed everything for him. He came back, and I'll never forget him just being so dialed in on all of these business things that we just weren't aware of. This class is like a master's degree in business in 5 days. Also, I'm gonna tell you, if you're prepared to go to it, whether you go general admission or you go CEO, this shit takes stamina, okay? I do not know how PBD is standing on stage for 8 hours a day for 4 days freaking straight, delivering at such a high level. It's like watching Michael Jordan in his prime doing his thing. I'm just telling you, man. And so if you're a business guy, if you're a salesperson, the more you invest in yourself, the more your identity grows. Listen, I remember when I made my first big investment to this conference, I kind of felt pressured. I'm not gonna lie. My team was going, my founders were going, my business partners were going, and I'm like, oh, well, dude, I don't really want to spend this money. And then I'm like, that's the problem. In order to grow, you have to spend the money. So I spent the money. Most people don't understand that millionaires spent millions becoming a millionaire, and billionaires spent millions becoming a billionaire. And so in order to grow your identity, you've got to grow, number one, the information that you're receiving. Second, you got to grow your perspective. So you got to be around people that have different perspectives, that have different information. So often, the worst thing that you can do in business is just be surrounded by the same people. The same sphere of influence that you have right now is the reason why your life is currently where it's at. When I go get around PBD and he's teaching, this book has 280 something pages. As he's going through this, I realize how much I don't know. I realize that there's these little holes in my business that if I learn, they are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, $10 million problems that if fixed, it changes my whole life. And so getting outside of your business, if you've never invested in a conference, I'm not here to sell you on the conference. I'm here to tell you that it changes my perspective every time that I go down there, because I'm around guys that are doing what we're doing in a year. They're doing it in a day. I'm sitting next to a guy that just sold his business for a few $1 billion, okay? That's a different kind of perspective. That's a different kind of problem solve. Why are guys like this investing in these conferences? Because they're learning things that they've never been able to learn almost anywhere, because you're learning from real business operators. So PBD has been one of the most tremendous mentors that we've ever had. He's a really good guy. I mean, if you look into the crowd, there was 10,000 people at this one. I mean, they've had ones with 1,000. They've scaled it up. Why do seminars continuously sell out and scale? I'm going to tell you. We throw 2 seminars a month on average, one for leaders, one for salespeople. They always sell out. They have for 5 years, because when people are getting real information and real results, they'll stay with you. So if you want to create raving fans in your business, something that I learned from PBD, create real results in people. Give them everything that you've got so that they can grow their lives and grow their business. And when you do, they'll stay with you forever, just like I'm prepared to stay with PBD. But I'm going to tell you, I saw some things that I was freaking blown away by. There were some things that happened at the conference that people will never forget in the history of their life, including PBD. Not planned events, unexpected unexpected events, sad events, extreme events, emotional events that I'm going to go over today. But the depth of knowledge, let's start there. The depth of knowledge that you're going to learn as a salesperson, as an operator, as a leader. I don't care if you're a salesperson. The reason why you'd want to be here is because you don't want to be a salesperson your whole life. You want to move into leadership. As a president of our company, there's so much things that I have to learn as fast as possible because my team's lives are on the line and they're only going to grow as much as the leaders grow. So as much as our founders are growing, as much as I'm growing, they're only going to be able to grow as far as that. So we've constantly, as leaders, got to be refining ourselves. Okay, I believe in this event so much that I brought 26 people with me, CEO. 26 people at spending $14,000 a ticket. That's $377,000 in revenue. So I brought a lot of revenue to them. I brought some of my top clients to them. Why? Well, because I believe in it that much. Okay. Now I went down there. I also brought my clients to stay at an Airbnb with me. That's, it's a $10 million Airbnb. It's several $1,000s a night. Why did I do that? Because people need community. Leaders need community. They need people that they're around, that they're building with, that they can trust, that they can grow, that are outside their business. One of the loneliest places you can be is being a leader because you can have 10,000 people in your company, but some of them don't think like you, don't dream like you, don't operate like you. So your goal is to be around people that do, and leaders have a certain type of pressure that they're building. So if you're ever going down to the PBD conference, I always bring a group with me. We also bought an additional 50 tickets for employees. So we had about 75 to 100 people there. So that was phenomenal. So I want to start with the knowledge. I want to start with the community also. The community that PBD has created is absolutely phenomenal. Like the people that are around, the people that are growing with them, just the way that they train and lead, freaking absolutely crazy. Okay. So overall, I did like those two things. My sales guy, his name was Aaron Mont, and that guy took care of us from top to bottom. Really good guy, really good at following up, really good at following through. A lot of salespeople, your problem is out there, even in your companies, you sell something to somebody, but you don't follow through. And then they don't continue to spend money with you because you don't follow through. Aaron followed through with me, my team, all the people I referred to him. Imagine you're a salesperson and somebody refers you 20 plus people, and that's nearly $500,000 in revenue. Imagine that. When I think about things like that, it makes me want to up my sales game because his communication is so good, his service is so good, their product is so good, the people are selling it for them. In our seminars, I'm constantly referred people to where I don't make calls to people. They just call me with their friends and their family because they want them to experience what they've been through. And that's raving fans. So in your business, you got to create raving fans, and you have to have that customer experience. So the customer experience was phenomenal. When I walked into the lobby, all the teams started cheering, they're clapping. I'm like, oh my God, I felt like a freaking total celebrity. They're clapping. I felt a little embarrassed too. I was like, oh my gosh, they have my backpack there. PBD spends thousands of dollars on the swag. You get a swag bag, cups, you get a shirt, you get all this stuff, you get golf balls, you get this. The whole bag is full of stuff. And the bag is Italian leather, badass bag. So I'm just here to encourage you that also on your customer, don't think about just my experience with them. Think about how you're investing in your customer. Even if you're a salesperson, I've been investing in my customers for years. I've spent millions of dollars, real money, on my customers and my customer experience for years. A lot of people know me. For everybody I talk to, I send them a John Maxwell Bible because I just believe in Jesus, and I believe if you're a leader and you read that John Maxwell Bible, that's cool. I mean, I bought thousands of copies online. They're $50 every time. Okay, can you do something with inside of your customer experience? This video is not meant to just talk about the Vault Conference. It's meant so you can see your business with inside of my experience with them, and that way you can create raving fans. So I really like that. I really liked when I first entered. They made me feel VIP. They checked in with me a couple days before to make sure that I needed anything. They made sure that I had ride accommodations. They asked me if I needed a hotel. Since I had a house with everybody, I didn't need all of those things. And the people that were in the CEO session, let's move to that. When you go general, you don't get access to the CEO session. Okay, there's thousands of people in general. That's still a good way to go if you can't get into there. My first conference was with Grant Cardone like 15 years ago. Me and my brother were trying to learn how to sell. We were around these guys that were selling 10 to 15 cars, and we were like, man, that's just not what we want to do. We want to sell 50, 60. And we heard this guy online talking about that. And I asked my manager, and they were making fun of me. And my finance director, who drove a Bentley, was like, dude, you should go learn from him. All these other guys were kind of broke. And then this guy was the guy making money. I was like, I'm gonna listen to this guy. I went to a bank. I took a loan out. He said, go next door and take a loan out. I went to a bank. Back then, I don't even think I brought a pay stub. I don't even remember bringing a pay stub. I just remember them, giving me $1,100, spent $800 on a ticket. I got a one-way flight. Me and my brother got one-way flights to Miami. We didn't even know. We were so naive. We didn't even know that we needed to, buy a plane ticket home. We had no clue. Okay. and we just slept in Miami on the street. But it was the beach, so it wasn't like super freaking horrible, but it was, we went to that conference and we learned something that changed our lives. People told us we didn't have energy. They told us we didn't know how to handle objections. They told us that we basically weren't real pros. And so from that day forward, I knew my business better than everybody else. It's how I dominated my industry. It's how I was the top salesperson in my industry for a long time. It's how I've done really good and made millions of dollars, because I took that training, and instead of, there's probably a guy in that same room that was like, oh, I've heard this information before. I lived it. There's a difference when you're living the information versus just learning it. I learned it, I lived it, and then I taught it to other people, and that made me better. In the Bible, it says, learn it, live it, loan it. I learned it, lived it, and then loaned it to other people, and that made me better. So if you can get even a general admission ticket for $500, go. The next one's in Las Vegas, okay? You're gonna learn a lot there. It's extreme. You gotta be prepared to study for 8 hours a day. Like, it's stamina. I bring snacks. I am dialed in on my food that I'm gonna eat while I'm there, because it is a lot of information, okay? As you move up the line, you can start getting access to different breakout rooms. I would say if you can't afford to go CEO, or if you can invest that kind of money, or if you can save up a couple $1,000s all year and then buy a CEO ticket, the CEOs go there because they get access to Patrick in a private training. The private training Patrick put on, I'll never forget for the rest of my life, for sure. Now, that CEO session also, I made some connections that are life-changing. I mean, the guy that I'm sitting next to is a billionaire, and I'm talking to him about his problems. My problems pale in comparison to him, but he's like, hey, I can always triage some stuff with you, help you, and I'll do that for you. I would never be able to get a hold of this guy if it wasn't in a referral or if it wasn't in a seminar like this. Same with our seminars. When you come down, you'll see the billionaire guy sitting next to a guy that's just, running his first company. And our guys, we bring them together to collaborate. I've never seen a community other than ours and PBD's that make it happen that way, where you see families, you see kids, you see wives that are in business with their husbands. Like, we do the same thing because we're running a similar play to PBD, that we want everybody to come together for community, because community is huge. So that was huge. All right, CEO thing was huge, connections were huge. And let me move on to the stage presence, the first day. Every day we get up, we work out at 5 in the morning, and then we go to the conference. Conference starts at 8:30 and it goes till 9, 10 at night. I mean, that's one thing that is extremely challenging for me. It's not that I don't like it. It is freaking long, man. And it's great because it's so packed with information. You feel like you're only there for a couple of hours, but like, you go home and go to sleep, you're right back in the gym at 5 because we work out in the morning, and then you're right back into the session. So that is a little challenging. PBD's stage presence is unlike anybody in the world. I've watched a lot of the top speakers, paid a lot of the top speakers to come speak in our community, and there's really nobody that teaches just like him, like that engages the crowd like him, that has a memory like him. He can remember your revenue from 3 years ago, and he can remember exactly where you're at, how many employees you had, if he's engaged with you. His memory is unfreaking real. So I really love that. He had Martha Stewart speak. Martha Stewart, if you don't really know tons about her, she was like the first female billionaire. She did some amazing things. She has insane credentials. The way she went from modeling to business owner. She experienced some trouble, some insider trading and shit like that. But ultimately, her business career is something you want to study. Her business career is something that you will just not see a lot from a self-made person to a billionaire that did that. Like, the way that she taught on, how she made these brand deals and how she blew up her business, how she was one of the first original. She calls herself the OG of social media. She was the first influencer. And really, she was that first in that influence space to have that personal brand out there that was $1 billion brand. So to hear from her was amazing. Now, one thing I didn't like, the audio collapsed as they were trying to have Martha Stewart on stage. So PBD was trying to triage it with his team, and there was this big gap. And it was this weird, awkward gap because he's probably paid millions of dollars to have that sound. I know he invested over $10 million in this conference, and the sound was not happening. Martha couldn't hear him, and he was trying to just band-aid it together. So honestly, it was a moment that he didn't like, and I took a lot away from that moment that I'm going to explain here in a second. Because Martha, once they did get the sound kind of right, you could get some of what he was trying to get out of her. But I know PBD was there to really grill her on some things and really, extract information, because he's one of the best interviewers in the world. And so he wasn't really able to do it at the level I know he wanted to do, but PBD's whole book, how you process problems, and processing problems in all departments, processing the problems in your life, processing problems in your relationship, your marriage. You can think of a problem right now that you blew out of proportion, that you're embarrassed of, and you wish you never did. Probably happened today. You can think of a business thing that wasn't even really a business problem, and it pissed you off so much that you just blew up, you didn't handle it the right way, maybe dissolved a partnership, maybe this happened, maybe that happened. We all have them. PBD talks a lot about how you process these issues at different levels of your scale and your sales team and your life and all of these different things throughout this really amazing book. But talking about it is one thing. Really knowing if somebody can do it is a totally another thing. As PBD had these issues, you had to watch him in real time have patience. You had to watch him in real time engage 10,000 people in the crowd and still keep them entertained as he's triaging an issue with his team. Now, you could really get pissed off in an instant like that and see a temper flare up because he is a high driven type of a guy, A-type personality. It's natural for us to flare up and get pissed off. I watched him very closely in those moments. And as these things were going wrong, he's invested millions of dollars there. He has somebody on stage with him. He's in front of all these people. The way his poise was, the way his patience was, the way he was directing his team and making it happen, it was art. You know, I told somebody, man, there was all these major takeaways that I have that I'm going to teach in some of these other videos. And some of these major takeaways will transform my business bottom line, millions of dollars for sure, instantly. But the number one thing I took away from him was how he was processing issues in real time because they were happening in real time. And instead of talking about it, I got to actually see him do it, which was phenomenal for me. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about was really sad. Man, it was really emotional. I'll never forget this moment my whole life. I was sitting behind Patrick's family, Patrick's security team, and Andy. Andy sits next to his wife, and we're sitting in the front row. They're sitting in the front row. I'm sitting in the second row. And, you know, he has full-time security. We have people there. And Tony Robbins comes on stage, and I'm excited to see Tony Robbins, okay? Tony Robbins is a guy who's changed our life. And, you know, we go back, we bought this $3,500 course from him 6 years ago in August. And that course, it was called the $1 Million Blueprint, Broker Blueprint, changed everything. So it's a very emotional thing to see a guy like that you've gotten so much out of and to see him live. And this guy's the GOAT. But as Tony's coming out on stage, I see security tighten up. And I'm a very security driven person here in our company. You know, I'm always constantly directing our security and figuring out threats and different things. And I'm not going to go into all that, but I'm a very aware person. I'm a very paranoid person because the paranoid people, those are the people that live. So I'm very aware of my surroundings, Andy's surroundings, our surroundings. And I see his security team tighten up. I see his team pull his wife out and his kids out. And I know something's wrong. I just know it. And the hair's standing up on my arms. I'm watching them and I'm telling my brother, hey, something's wrong, be on alert. You know, I'm giving some directives to our team members that are in the crowd and around us, and I know something's up. And then we get a text that, you know, Charlie Kirk had been shot. And if you know PBD, you know, he spent some good time with him. Charlie Kirk lives here in our community. All of our friends are intertwined. I haven't personally engaged with him, but I mean, I've watched 1,000 of his videos. Here in America right now, it's a very emotional time. Honestly, it's one of the craziest times I've ever seen. I have never in 35 years seen America react the way that they've reacted. You know, they killed somebody that quite literally made them the martyr for Jesus. And, you know, the way that he spoke so openly, how honest he was, how much courage it took to go to those college campuses and do what he was doing and just to be building on his beliefs. Whether you like him or not, he stood authentically in who he was. He stood and he told people what he believed in. So often there's a lot of people that are just cowards nowadays. They don't believe in anything, or even if they believe in something, they don't want to say it. I remember a time in our company where we didn't talk about fitness and we didn't talk about Jesus. Even though those were the two things that really helped us on the back end of sales training, you still have to, there's 4 parts to a human's nature: your mind, body, heart, and soul. If you learn sales skill, but you don't learn how to change your heart, you don't learn how to get your soul on fire, your spirit on fire, your brain on fire, you don't learn those things, and those things are done through Jesus. Those things are done through fitness. And we didn't talk about those things because the industries that we were serving, they didn't want to hear them. And I remember a time where Andy specifically woke up and he said, you know what? We have all these people that are coming down to the seminars, and we're teaching them, and we're only inviting the ones that we know to the gym and to church. But have you noticed that those are the ones that are having the biggest breakthroughs and they're learning the most in the sales training? He's like, what if we did that with our whole model? And I was like, dude, I think people would hate that. Like, I honestly think that we would just get ridiculed. Like, and me, I was thinking with my worldly view. I wasn't thinking with a calling. I wasn't thinking with God first. I was honestly thinking about my wallet. You know, we're struggling to get a company going, and I didn't have that courage. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, dude, I don't think we should do that. Like, we already are doing, we're getting a good footprint. We just signed the biggest account that we've ever had. And Andy says, no, man, screw that. We're going to go out there and we're going to tell people who we are. We're going to invite people to a workout every time before we do the seminar. I am going to talk about Jesus. I'm not going to force it on them, but also I'm going to ask if anybody wants to come to church the next day with us, they can. They don't have to, but they can. And online, I'm going to start talking about fitness more often because that changed my life. I'm always talk about sales, but I am going to mention these things because I feel like God has called me to change their lives, not just teach them how to make more money. And he did that. Our biggest account called back and our biggest account canceled within a couple of days. And they said, if you don't change this shit right now and drop the God shit, and you don't drop the fitness shit, we're going to cancel you. Guess what? They canceled. Our business went down 40% instantly. Others canceled to follow. I was worried. I was nervous. Just trying to get a company off the ground. Now we got this. Andy wasn't. Andy had the courage. I'll always be thankful for him to have that courage. And sometimes that's why you have to have people around you that, think differently than you think. And he was able to provide that courage to our entire company and stand on what he truly wants. Andy online is a guy that he says things and some people don't agree with. And it's okay because it's what he believes and it's his belief and it's who he's true to. And a lot of people don't realize that on the other side of being that authentic person is your dream life, is your impact in the world. Charlie Kirk stepped in to this calling that he had and was authentic, real, and true to himself. He put Jesus in the front of everything in his debates and what he believed in, and he stood strong. They killed him for it. But I don't believe they just killed him for that. I believe they killed him because our children were listening. I believe they killed him because our generations, our younger generations, finally had a person that they were believing in. Now, what's happened right now in America, well, actually the world, in London yesterday, 5 million people hit the streets. That's never happened. And we're protesting and talking and protesting peacefully, not rioting stores, not looting. That's not what we teach. That's not what we do. Just peacefully protesting and getting on their knees and giving their life to Jesus. Man, there's stadiums all around the countries, baseball games that broke out into tears and prayer. I've never seen anything like this. There's more prayers and Jesus-filled buildings and communities and stadiums and all of these different things because of Charlie, because of what happened. It's kind of crazy. It teaches you a lesson that, one day you're going to be gone. What are you going to be known for? Are you going to be known that you played small and you were a shadow player and nobody knew who you are and you didn't make impact and you didn't really step out to be the person that you could be and you didn't have the courage to do that like Charlie did? Or are you going to be the person that is like a Charlie, that is like an Andy, that is like a Tony Robbins, that is like a PBD, that is like an Ian Macklin, that steps up and stands on what they believe and tells people what they believe and isn't fearful, knows that God got their back and decides that they're going to be this person no matter what other people think. The number one chain that most people have that's just ripping them away from their freaking new life is the fear of what other people think. The minute that you freaking clip that chain, the minute that you clip that rope and you get rid of that is the minute that you get welcomed into your new life. Now, as Charlie is now with, our Creator and he's with Jesus, the greatest thing ever is he's looking down and he's seeing the world transforming under his message. His stuff is spreading like the world has never seen before. I've seen presidents die in my life. I'm 35 years old. I have never, ever, ever, ever seen transformation and revival like it's happening right now. It's crazy. So that moment though, while we were in that stadium, PBD is in tears. I'm going to go to a Tom's prayer right now. Tom gets on his knees and Tom is praying. Tom is the COO of Valuetainment and Tom's praying. Tom's praying over everybody. PBD did not have to come out after that, talk about it. People in the crowd were starting to know about it, but he could have easily just let people go home for the day because it was the end of the day. But if you watch the video of how PBD processed that with the crowd and how he called for peace and love and how he talked about it and he framed it to the audience and just the way that he processed that issue. Again, this was not something that was planned in a conference. This guy's had a lot of things happening. He's teaching a lot of people. He's working the stage. He's got this crazy stage presence. He's got all this information that he's remembered, that he's teaching, that he's doing, and then a good friend of his dies. And what is really crazy is he talked about the first day that him and his wife are 45 years old, and they're in a season where a lot of people are losing their mothers, their parents, different things in their life. And he talked a lot about death the first day. And separately from that conversation, he even mentioned some things about Charlie, about his courage, about who he was on the first day. And for that to happen, I was mentioning to my friends on how I believe that Charlie was going to be president, because he has such an ear for this younger generation that they are finally waking up to a lot of these things that are happening that are holding our society back. He is making a change that not a lot of people are making. That change has now been multiplied by like 70 billion because of it. It's a hard moment in our community here in Phoenix where he lives at Turning Point. It's a hard moment. I just know it's so hard for his family, his beautiful little girls. I cried because I just couldn't imagine, my family doing life without me. But I also took a lot of motivation and inspiration and legacy from him, because it was like him passing away, the way that he passed away was so sad. But it was kind of like God had this whole plan for him to speak the way he spoke, do the things that he did, fight the battles that he fought. And now those battles are being magnified even bigger in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of our great country of America. And it's wild. It makes me want to stand on what I'm doing even more. So much so that I just started the Faith Driven podcast, where I love talking about faith. I love talking about motivation and inspiring people. I just love that stuff. That it made me look at my calling and say, man, am I doing enough? I think that I've seen more people that weren't Christians go to church. I've seen more people that, I just got off the phone with one of my buddies. He was crying. He said, my brother was an atheist. And my brother decided to give church a try because of Charlie, even though he didn't even like Charlie. But he said, something's happening in our world. I want to go experience it. And this guy said that his brother experienced Jesus, gave his life to Jesus on this last Sunday. And that just gives me goosebumps, man, because that means like Charlie's life just quite literally saved millions and millions and millions of millions, tens of millions of people. So, Charlie, we love you. So thankful for the courage that you had. Pat, thank you for processing this issue. We'll definitely remember where I was at, where Charlie died, and the leadership that PBD had to display in such a hard moment. And Tom just goes to show that they're living what they're telling other people to live. And in the world right now, there's not a lot of people that are living what they're telling other people to live. There's a lot of people running their mouth, but not a lot of people that are actually playing the game. Not a lot of people that are actually in the arena. We get thousands of hate messages a day, thousands. We get hate letters, we get threats, we get all these things. And people often ask me, hey man, is that a lot? Like, how do you deal with that? And I just know that, what Jesus has called us to do is change lives. I know that similar to Charlie's situation, that there's not a lot of people that are going to have the courage to face those things, the public ridicule, all of these different things. And so somebody's got to do it. So I urge you that whatever your calling is out there, step out and play the game. Step out and be known for something. Step out and be known for changing lives, not being the worst person that you could be as a hater on the internet. The worst place that you can be is talking crap on somebody else. Let's invite love. Let's invite respect. Let's invite courage. Let's invite transformation. Let's invite Jesus into these companies. Our whole mission at the Elliott Group is to change companies so that they can take the culture from their companies into their communities. A lot of companies don't have this culture that we have, that we've created. An amazing culture, best in the world. But we take this into our communities. We take this into what we're doing. We take this into our churches. That's how we're going to change the world. So if you're out there, I urge you make the decision. You go change the world. You go change people. You can do it. You are called to do it. You have it in you. Unlock it. Believe in yourself. Charlie helped me believe in myself even more. So I want to thank you, Charlie. Tom's prayer was really powerful. So that was huge. And then I want to switch gears. The learning was amazing. It was extreme. We went from the highs of Tony Robbins to the lows of losing such a powerful person in our world, to the social media flooding everybody's phones, to millions of people looking at the PBD announcement and then wondering what this conference was all about, to the tens of thousands of people crying. I never experienced anything like this, people. It was a freaking tornado of good information, of transformation, of PBD revival, of Charlie Kirk, of all of these things, of leaders, of information. I'm so grateful for it, man. And even those things that I said I didn't like the audio and stuff like that, the coolest thing that ever happened was God made that happen to Patrick on his biggest stage of his life so he could show us that he could handle it and show us by example, not by just talking, but by example, that he lives what he says he could live. That to me was worth, the thousands of dollars that I spent. That to me was worth rallying, 26 members of my community and 50 members of my company to go down there by just seeing how these guys really live, by seeing how these guys really do it. I want to be around people that are doing it, not the people that are talking about it. I want to be around the people that are in their arena, that are going after it, that are changing lives, that are standing for something, that are standing on something, that got a mission. And these guys, they got a mission. These guys, one of the things I've written down was Patrick painting the vision for the conference. You are always going to have to paint a vision for your team, where you're going, where they fit in the mission. Patrick is painting this grand vision of how he's going to have 65,000 people in Allegiant Stadium. And he's talking about how he's going to get there, the people he's going to bring with him, the clients, what they're going to experience over this next couple of years with him. I'm like, dude, I want to be part of that. That's what a company leader does. A lot of companies don't have a vision and they wonder why their people perish because there is no vision for those people. Their dreams can't fit inside of there. Do you know how many people offer me a job to run their company day by day, their sales team, this and this and that? Man, I've been offered a million jobs. If you're not getting offered jobs, it's because you ain't really that good at what you do. I've gotten offered a million jobs, but you know what? My dreams fit with inside of the Elliott Group's vision. Our founders have such big goals and such big dreams. You guys haven't seen anything from us yet. We got a global movement. We've impacted millions. We've reached billions of people online, but we are just getting started. What you're going to see in this next level of the Elliott Group, it's going to freaking be so mind-blowing that everybody in the world is going to be talking about it. That's how he spoke to us about his conference. That's how I'm speaking to you about what we're going to do. And what we're already doing, our money is where our mouth is. We got 3 new buildings being built out here. We have a Florida division opening up. We have a Dubai division happening. All of these things are happening. Okay? Are you going to come along with people that are going places? It's kind of like how he talked about the vision of his company. 65,000 people at a business conference. He's sure he's going to get there. Next year, they're going to have 20,000 people at MGM Grand. And over the course of till 2030, they will work their way from 20,000 people to 40,000 people to 2030 will be at Allegiant Stadium. Next year, if you want to be a part of my group, reach out to me. I will take 30 to 40 CEOs. We will rent 2 of the biggest houses in Las Vegas. We will find the 2 biggest houses and we will make it our own experience with our teams, okay? And I will buy probably 200 to 300 tickets for our salespeople, and we will fill that stadium with our people. I will have our companies of those 26 leaders buy probably 50 to 100 tickets each also. So we will show up with a few thousand people, 100%, an army of people. Because you know what? We support the mentors that support us too. These guys have always shown up for us. These guys have always believed in us. These guys have been people that when the world turned their back on us or didn't believe on us, these guys did. And that's who I want to be for other people. Listen, I'm a guy, I don't need to switch 55 mentors. I'm going to learn from this guy for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I'm going to go on a run with this guy. And if you're like that with us, I want you to go on a run with us both. Listen, I want you to go on a run with PBD and I want you to go around with us both. You're never going to go to a business conference and get this, ever, okay? Now, we have some really great business conferences. Theirs is a different level. I've got some really amazing business conferences that we do, sales conferences, leadership conferences, building your coaching companies. I believe that everybody has a specialized skill. I just got off the phone with a guy that built an HVAC company. And you know what it takes to build that? A lot. He has a skill that he could show other companies, other HVAC companies how to scale. In his first month, he went through a training program for 20 days for us teaching him how to build his influence, his coaching company. His first month, he generated $190,000 in revenue. Now that's extreme. Also, results aren't guaranteed. That's honestly never happened to me that fast that a guy generated income that fast. But you know what? We opened up every department that we have. Every department. Sales, administration, compliance, this, all of it. Leadership, everything. Media, everything. Marketing, everything. Advertising, all of it. CRM, all of it. And we gave him a playbook. And he ran the playbook. And no wonder he just got extreme results. Because that took us several months to get to as a company. And he did that himself with no salespeople within a few weeks. So it can be done. Listen, I have a person that trains with us and she's a gardener. Okay, and she's like, I'm the best gardener in the world. So she opened up a gardening coaching business. and she's doing 6 figures a year. I mean, there's a lot of people like this. Now, are you going to get all those results? Not necessarily. Could you get bigger results? How aggressive are you? The reason why I like coaching coaches is because coaches have the ability to go out and teach a skill that will gain somebody's speed. Everybody has a problem. Everybody has a current state. I had a current state of who I am and where I'm at, and a desired state of where I'm trying to go. And where I'm trying to go, I knew that there's a gap. And that gap PBD had, and when I paid the $28,000, went down there, which was more actually after housing and costs and all that stuff. In fact, to our company, it cost us millions of dollars because we had 50 salespeople leave the floor for 5 days. So it cost us millions of dollars. But that gap, it filled that gap for right now. It took me to a desired state of where I needed to get. That's worth it. That's worth it. He has a coaching company. You could have a coaching company too if you have a skill that's a unique skill, you've done something in your life, and you can teach it. You can reach out to me and we can help you with that. Next, I want to talk about the offers that they made. The vision was amazing. The offers that they made were crazy. I mean, he had a $500,000 offer and people were buying the $500,000 offer. You know, $500,000 offer, you got multiple people buying that. He had $20,000 offers, tons of those. You know, we had, in our community, they probably spent $500,000. And I'm going to be at every single one of these. So this conference had some hiccups. It had some errors. But overall, the customer experience, going back to that real quick, he put VIP hosts all along the entire hotel. If you walked in, I walked in and I was like, yeah, where's the conference? And this guy goes, I'll walk you there. I'm like, bro, you don't have to do that. I'm sure it's far. And he goes, yeah, no worries. And I'm walking and he's talking. And you could tell that this guy had been trained to deliver that experience. Most people are like, yeah, it's over there. He had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to have these guys placed all over the community just to walk people to the thing. There's a famous thing by Steve Wynn, a training that he did with his managers. And one of the things that the Wynn Corporation did differently than everybody else was customer experience. Customer service is different than customer experience. Customer service is like, hi, thank you, appreciate you, and having a good voice and doing the right thing. Customer experience is how people genuinely feel about your company. Do you see how I feel about this company? Do you see how I feel about this? That's experience, because experience is totally different. He invested a lot of money in that customer experience, not in just the customer service. My customer service was great, but the customer experience is what I'm going to brag about. The customer experience is how you create VIP clients. Not like they bought VIP tickets. They could be general admission people. But a VIP client is a guy that goes out and brings you business. I brought $500,000 in business, probably $1 million once the offers went out that everybody ended up buying. A lot of people ended up buying them. Okay? But that doesn't happen unless you're an intentional leader. When you're an intentional leader, you can create experiences like that most people can never create. Most people can never do. So in my world right now, the two biggest experiences I'm going to bring in my team are customer experience. We have built out an extreme customer experience department. We are focusing on it every day, and we are just after creating the most wicked customer experience. I believe in the seminar world, you coming down to a seminar like ours, you've never met a team like ours. Our customer experience is phenomenal on that end, but we have some new products and some new things that we are really going to be just freaking going wicked insane on there. That's our biggest investment, is our customer experience. And then, it's really hard to dial in. And then I think the next thing would be, for me, HR. We have a growing company. We're going to double our sales team over the next 6 months. We're going to add probably 70 to 100 salespeople over the next, 6 months. We have a really wicked system that we've created that's super easy for salespeople to understand. For sales teams, they have to have something very easy and duplicatable. We have that. We have one of the greatest brands ever. We generate thousands of leads a day, so we have the ability to do that. We have a lot of people that believe in us and count on us, but there's still a sales process. And so I, from a executive level, wanted to understand HR differently. And I've never heard anybody speak about HR like that. Most of the time, HR is a pain in your ass. He talked about how you cohesively grow them and how HR's job is to grow the company. I've never heard that. He's talking about the partnership, the meetings that they do with HR, how they get the HR team to help the company grow, not just hinder it. And I just was like, damn, like the compliance level that they still live at, but how they're able to partner up with them, I've never been able to speak to like HR like that. So that gave me a whole different perspective. He did talk about one story in his family. There's a chart and it talks about fear, assumptions, and a couple other things. I'll have to get the chart. It talks about fear, assumptions, and then there's a few other buckets. But within those buckets, you know, he talks about like meeting with your kids, like simply asking them like what they fear. He said he took his kid out, you know, he took his kid out to a dinner, and he said it was his son's favorite dinner. And he just said, hey, you know, you're 10 years old. What do you fear right now? Like, what's going on in your life? What do you fear? Like, for real. And his son had to think about it. He was skeptical to tell me. He said, hey, listen, I just want to know. I want to know. I was a 10-year-old boy one time. There's a lot I can help you with. His son told him some things, and they started relating, and he started helping him through there. So often we just assume that things are going good or whatever they are. And in reality, like inside of even our sales teams, you could take that coaching inside of your sales teams. How often do we sit with our sales team and say, hey, what do you fear? Hey, what's going on in your life? And so he talked about one-on-one sales meetings. He talked about one-on-one family meetings. He talked about family core values, you know, family values, company values, and just a million other things, man. This book is freaking absolutely insane. How to identify the problems in your company, how to come up with, you know, different, you know, compensation models. That was freaking huge. You know, how to solve all of these different problems in your company. David Falk was amazing. He was Michael Jordan's agent, and he had a phenomenal spot in there. So overall, you know, I can read each one of these books, or I can read each one of these pages, and I get the goosebumps. And so I think PBD and those guys did an amazing job, top to bottom. I would highly rate that you go to the conference. Was it worth $28,000 for me and my brother? That's what we both spent together to do. Absolutely. It would have been worth $100,000 each to go there. I think they should raise their prices. And overall, the clients that I brought with me, most of them wrote me text messages that were like, Ian, thank you so much for including. I did this because I believed in you. I didn't know that much about PBD, or some of them did, but they were like, the fact that you brought us along for this and allowed us to have some of this experience because you believed in it really changed everything for us. So invest in yourself overall, no matter what, whether it's with us, whether it's with another program, find some mentors that can help you gain speed, gain traction. Because where you're at and where you're trying to go, it could take you years, or it could take you one conversation. And ultimately, in my clients' lives, we have walked a certain path for a certain amount of time, so we can see things differently than they can see. Same with PBD, he can see things differently with inside of our business. That's why he's been able to help us become one of the top coaching companies in the world. So I would highly recommend it. If you're gonna go and you're gonna be in Las Vegas next year, same time, which is in September, let me know and I'll let you know what we're gonna have some meetups and some cool things. See ya.